My name is Rory Houlihan. I ran for U.S. Senate last spring, 2016, to stop the ticking time bomb so I could put our economy on track for a bright new day instead of all things ending. Well, I lost the election. Not running, but the ticking time bombs is still here, if not more so. Let me educate you on the ticking time bombs and give you the rest of the story. Part 1L, how did the terms conservative and liberal come about? Diminishing interest to numbers principle. This is a good time to introduce you to a very important principle, the diminishing interest to numbers of folks involved or receiving principle, DITN. Didn't know. As the number of persons receiving a prize goes up, the preserved value of that prize goes down for each individual. If you're just one person receiving $1 million prize, you are very motivated to have it, being a lot of money, $1 million, for you alone. If 1 million people receive $1 million, then their incentive to get this $1 million is much lower, being just $1 for each person. Understand, government, whether we are talking local, state, or federal, are big pots of money, and the biggest pots are at the federal level. So the incentives to gain and take over government is always with the few and not with the many. This is why democracies have failed in the past and dictatorships ruled. I pointed out there are killers and murderers, that the killers play by the superior goods model and the murderers play by the always lower price inferior goods model. Who is going to be the most greedy and want this big pot of money, government money, for themselves? The Alps. The superiors will be willing to change this big pot of money with the hardworking. Remember, they want folks stronger so masses with money can buy their goods. And they understand that supply is equal to demand. Without demand, there can be no supply. The Alps are different. The Alps are greedy and have all the incentives to take this big money pot to themselves and corrupt our government at every level. Our main defense for their attack on our government is to elect good, honest, capable folks into government offices who will resist the Alps' pressure to corrupt our government for themselves. When I was in my mid-20s, I had an IBM programmer tell me a story of an inventive and larcenous programmer who put in a company's payroll program just one piece of line code, which took just 1 penny from everyone in that company and gave it to him. The company, by accident, found this subroutine years afterwards because of another glitch in the payroll. But this story shows the power of diminishing incentives to numbers principle. Didn't know. The programmer had millions of dollars in his account by then, and no one missed that penny. There is a real difference in incentives, so there is always a reason for a few to ruin things for the many. When this principle applies, nothing greater than when laws, rules by which we run our government by, and money come together. One has to know and understand the didn't know principle in order to know they need to protect our government and our people. I have been to the Tea Party meetings, and I know today's libertarian Tea Partiers don't have this understanding of didn't know. Like our junior Senator Rand Paul, libertarians follow Russian Ayn Rand's form of libertarianism. Remember when pressed, she was always a philosopher and never an economist. And her libertarian supply-side philosophy is not economics. Tea Party members will not act to protect us from the Alps' greed, to have this big government pot of money for themselves, and they will instead help them take from us hardworking. That is one of the ticking time bombs waiting to wreck and ruin our government and our economy, and why I ran to take Rand Paul's seat from him. You have a good and blessed day. Bye.